Most wholesalers don't have any idea how many leads it actually takes to close a deal. That's the real difference between the amateurs and the pros. The pros don't guess. They know exactly how many leads it takes, and they track the numbers meticulously. So if you're ready to take your wholesaling business to the next level, this video is for you. I'm going to show you exactly what it takes and how many leads you need to close 5 deals a month. All that and more coming up.
This video is brought to you by PropWire, the only real estate software with county courthouse leads, including code violations, divorce, bankruptcies, and liens. Check it out now at propwireleads.com.
If you're new to wholesaling, my name is Jerry Norton. I've been wholesaling houses full-time now for over 20 years. And what I've noticed over all these years is the million-dollar producers in wholesale real estate understand that wholesaling is nothing more than a numbers game. It's a funnel where motivated seller leads come in the top of the funnel and closed deals come out the bottom of the funnel. Once the conversion process is dialed in, it's a simple math equation to do more deals and make more money. Here it is, you ready? More leads in the top of the funnel means more closed deals at the bottom of the funnel. Now let's think about it this way. In my mind, I think the goal of every novice wholesaler should be to become a $1 million producer. That's $1 million in annual gross revenue. Well, if the average wholesale revenue is approximately $16,500, you would need to average 5 deals per month to hit $1 million in gross revenue. Now, isn't that wild? All it takes to do $1 million in revenue in wholesale real estate is 5 deals a month, assuming a $16,500 average wholesale fee. That's not that hard, and you have to believe that's possible. If you're not doing that now, make that your goal. Right on your mirror in the bathroom, I am a $1 million wholesaler. So, how do you do it? That's the question. Well, first, let's break down the steps in the funnel and then give some industry standard conversion rates of what you can expect. Now, there are a few different ways that you could look at these metrics, or what we often call key performance indicators, or KPIs for short. The conversion funnel and KPIs that I really like are modeled after the national franchise, Joe Homebuyer. And the reason why is it's simple and concise. First, at the top of the funnel are what we call leads. Now, leads are used very loosely in the industry, so let me clarify. In our conversion process, a lead is simply an unqualified potential distressed seller. For example, if you go on propwire.com, there is a drop-down menu with dozens of lead types. You could choose absentee owners with high equity, and it will give you a list of leads. They're unqualified leads because you have no idea if they're even interested in selling, let alone at a discount. Now, one thing to consider is not all leads are created equal. A good way to think about leads is the more exclusive, the more valuable. In PropWire, there are leads that are easy to get. In fact, you can download like 10,000 regular leads per month for free in PropWire. Just go to joinpropwire.com. PropWire also has premium leads that are more difficult to get, such as code violations and liens. Now, the only way to get these premium leads is manually from the county courthouse. So since these leads are harder to get, they are also more valuable. Now, you can go to propwireleads.com to learn more about how you can get access to these premium leads. Once you generate a lead, the next KPI is to qualify the lead, and that means you have to make contact with the owner. You have to identify that there's some distress and some motivation, and then the owner is, in fact, interested in selling. We call a qualified lead simply an opportunity. It's an opportunity because they're interested in selling, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a deal, which is the third KPI to track, and that's an appointment. The appointment happens with you or your acquisition salesperson. It could be on the phone if you're a virtual wholesaler, or it could be in person if you're doing a backyard business model. The appointment is where you make the offer. Now, after making the offer, the fourth metric to track is to execute a contract. Again, this could be an electronic contract if you're virtual, or a printed hand-signed contract if in person. Once you have a contract, the fifth and definitely the most important KPI is the closing, because that's where you get paid. From contract to closing is where you find a buyer, go through title or a closing attorney, all of the parties show up, and a successful transaction occurs. The seller gets paid, you get paid, and the buyer owns a new property to rent or fix and flip. The acronym for leads, opportunities, appointments, contracts, and closings is LOAC. The LOAC is the report card of your wholesale business, and with my teams and partners, we look at these metrics religiously every single week. We live and die by the LOAC. Show me a healthy LOAC, and I'll show you a $1 million wholesale business. If your LOAC is off, you will struggle. So let's break down how the LOAC should convert, and then we can reverse engineer what it will take to do 5 deals per month. The first ratio is leads to opportunities. What percentage of leads convert to opportunities? And we're going to look at this ratio last because it has the most room for fluctuation, because it depends on the marketing channel or where those leads come from. But once a lead raises their hand and says they want to sell and becomes an opportunity, at least 50% of those opportunities should turn into appointments. That means 1 in 2 opportunities becomes an appointment. From those appointments, you should aim for 25% to execute contracts. That means 1 out of every 4 appointments results in an executed contract. And of those executed contracts, 75% should make it to the finish line and convert to a successful closing. That means 3 out of 4 contracts should close. So using these industry standard conversion rates, it would take 56 opportunities to get 28 appointments, to get 7 contracts, to get 5 closings in a given month. Now, a really simple way that I like to think about this is if you want to close 5 deals a month, you better be going on 1 appointment a day. Now, that brings us full circle back to how many leads are needed to generate 5 deals a month. And like I said a minute ago, this depends on the lead source, and to keep things really simple, let's lump leads into 2 different categories: outbound leads and inbound leads. Outbound marketing is where you contact the seller, like cold calling. Inbound marketing is where the seller contacts you, like Google Ads called pay-per-click or PPC, and pay-per-lead or PPL. Let's talk first about inbound leads. Inbound leads should convert at 75%. So that means we need about 75 inbound leads to get 56 opportunities, to get 28 appointments, to get 7 contracts, to get 5 closings in a given month. Now, if you're ready for inbound marketing, I'll leave in the description below who I recommend you use for PPC and PPL advertising. So now let's talk about outbound marketing. Outbound leads have so many variables, are going to range from 1% to 10%, again, based on where those leads are coming from. But let's go in the middle and use a 5% conversion. That means you're going to need approximately 1,000 outbound leads to get 56 opportunities, to get 28 appointments, to get 7 contracts, to get 5 closings in a given month. Now you might be wondering, why in the world would I do 1,000 outbound leads versus 75 inbound leads to get to the same 5 deals per month? And the answer is you probably wouldn't unless you have a marketing budget constraint. Outbound leads are very inexpensive but more work, and inbound leads are much more expensive but much less work. Think about it this way. Would you rather spend $1,500 doing outbound to get 5 deals or $15,000 doing inbound to get 5 deals? And before you answer, keep in mind, outbound leads have a much longer cash conversion cycle. It can take 4 to 6 months of follow-up to close outbound leads, whereas inbound leads can be as fast as 30 to 60 days. Another thing to consider when comparing the two is your average assignment fees for outbound leads might be $10,000 to $15,000, whereas inbound are much higher at $20,000 to $25,000. Overall, spending $15,000 in inbound marketing to do 5 deals where the cash conversion cycle is shorter and the assignment fees are bigger and the work to convert those leads is much less is always going to be better. That's why most of the top wholesalers primarily do inbound marketing. However, having said that, what if you could generate high quality outbound leads at a fraction of the cost that convert faster and for higher fees? That would be a complete game changer, and that's why you really should check out PropWire's premium leads. Using AI, these leads are highly qualified and more exclusive for a fraction of the cost of inbound marketing. And to learn more, just go to propwireleads.com. Now, if you found this breakdown really helpful, leave a comment and say, "Thank you, Jerry, you are a flipping genius." Finally, if you do decide to do outbound marketing, I don't recommend you do the cold calling yourself personally. That's not the best use of your time. There are overseas agencies that can do the cold calling and bring you those qualified opportunities for a fraction of the cost, where all you need to do is set and go on appointments. So I want you to watch this next video where you get all of the details on how that works and what you can expect. Watch that now, and I'll see you on the next video.